Welcome to Off the Coast, where we examine the views from Vancouver Island with your host, Rosemarie Barnes. New and exciting things, preserved and respected things, business, recreation, politics, travel, all from the point of view of the people living and working on the island. Rosemarie is a professional speaker and certified speaking coach living in historic Ladysmith and loving every day of the island life. Here is your Vancouver Island host, Rosemarie.
And welcome everyone to today's show called Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island. I'm Rosemarie Barnes, your host, and today I am ever so pleased to welcome Catherine Temple as our guest. Catherine moved to Campbell River in 1981. You know, Campbell River up just a little bit, halfway up the island. In 1981, following her chosen path in the tourism industry. Since then, she's worked and lived the life of Riley in an unparalleled paradise that offers lifestyle opportunities like no other place on earth. Transmuting from the tourist service industry to owning her own adventure tour company to designing and promoting a community website that promotes her home and highlights recreational accolades from all over the region, Catherine loves what she does and is constantly exploring the hidden secrets of the Central Island area while seeking new methods of promoting these features to the world. And that is exactly what we do here on Off the Coast, is promote Vancouver Island to the world. So welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Rosemary.
How are you today?
I am doing very well despite all the rain.
You know, my rain gauge has said 5 inches every week for the last number of weeks. Enough.
Well, not so much, because you know what they've done? They've opened the floodgates at the Elk Falls Park. So you can go up the suspension bridge right now, and they've got 20 times the seasonal volume of water going through the gates right now, and it is one heck of a spectacular view.
That must be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they're going to keep it open until the 22nd. That's how much water they have behind the dam right now.
Wow. That must be quite a sight to see.
It is pretty impressive, let me tell you.
So that's up in your neck of the woods then, is it?
Yeah, that's right in our backyard. It's about 10 minutes away from Campbell River up towards Gold River. Not very far.
Wow. That would be... Last year I had the very happy accident of going up to Englishman River Falls, and it was during the big rain season, and it was massive, absolutely massive. The power of that water just blows you away.
You know, especially after we come through a summer like we just had, where we had no rain for such a long time.
Absolutely. So, but enough about weather. Let's get on to something more interesting. What is it? Now, you are from Campbell River now, but what brought you there in the first place?
Well, I actually followed a man to begin with. Who I did end up marrying and got divorced a number of years later, but he brought me up here to go scuba diving.
Hold it. Scuba diving in Campbell River.
Oh my God, we have some of the best cold water diving in the world here.
You have to tell us about that right now.
Well, Jacques Cousteau used to spend an awful lot of time up here. We've got lots and lots of areas from Campbell River right up to Port Hardy that are considered some of the best cold water diving anywhere. And it's a little bit of an untapped resource. It used to be really popular, but it's not as much now, even though I'm noticing it's really gaining momentum once again. I mean, we even have the HMCS Columbia, which is sunk in Deep Bay. I think it's about 90 feet right now, and it's been there now for about 12 or 14 years. So if anyone wants to go wreck diving, that's a pretty neat place to do it.
Have you?
I haven't done the wreck dive, but because it wasn't there way back in the day, and I haven't done much diving in the last 5 or 6 years, but I have done small wreck dives before, but I've dove quite a bit around in the area, and it's a pretty spectacular area because each spot is really diverse. And because the currents here are so different than they are anywhere else in the world, it brings a lot of nutrients to the area, which just makes a proliferation of all kinds of life. It's just amazing.
It
we
must
actually have Sorry, we have a really nice gallery of pictures on our website that shows the diving here, which is great.
Let's just grab hold of that incredibly well worded segue. The community website. The community website. I had a look at it and thought it was spectacular. Did you do it?
I did. I've been in tourism for a long time and wasn't really happy with the way we were promoting the area. I thought, my goodness gracious, there's so much more here than we're offering. You know,
And so when did you do that?
Well, we've been on the net now for a little over 4 years, but it took me 5 years to do the research prior to that. There's a lot on there. The website itself has about 1,300 pages of information.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, anywhere from the business listings, which we have about 3,400 businesses on the site, but we also have where to go hiking, where to go diving, all the parks, meaning regional, provincial, and municipal parks. We've got government bodies on there. We've got earthquake preparedness, which, by the way, is pretty important these days.
It is indeed.
How to recycle your goods, you know, the history of the area, some folklore, a little bit about ghostly places, you know, things like that. There's actually a lot of fun stuff on it, too.
Campbell River is a really interesting place because it seems to be a melting pot of so many different cultures and influences.
You know what? It really is. And it's not even just that. It's the diversity of the area that has always really been close to my heart. I mean, in terms of economic development or in terms of stability for the community, when I first moved here, you know, the ocean fishing, the sports fishing was huge. It was just huge. It's not as big anymore, although in the last 3 years it has been incredibly productive. We've had some very good years. But we've had mining, forestry, commercial fishing, aquaculture, tourism. I mean, there's just been so many different things. And now we're really starting to get traction in the tech industry. So we're really moving forward.
How big is Campbell River?
36,000 people.
Campbell River is a city?
We are a city. We've been a city now for a number of years. Our market itself is about 60,000, and that includes right down to Merville and up to Port Hardy and Sontula and, you know, all the northern little areas that aren't really cities, but they don't have the market area that we do. But yeah, we service quite a large area.
So anybody from the north part of the island, Campbell River is the place to go.
Campbell River is the place to come to shop.
Yes, yes. I was in Campbell River not very long ago, about a week ago actually, and I have not had opportunity to be there before. Unfortunately, the sun was already setting, and with the weather we've been having, there was fog and all kinds of stuff. But immediately upon entering the city, I began to notice these amazing, amazing carvings and sculpture and the like of that. And, I must go back in the daytime on a sunny day and spend all day walking around. How many of these, where do they come from? Who creates them? Are they paid for their work? Tell me about these amazing sculptures I was seeing.
Well, those are transformation on the shore, and it's a very interesting process because years ago, and I'm thinking it's about 9 years ago, Max Chakite took a piece of driftwood and he made it into an octopus because it kind of looked like one anyway, and it got all his attention. It was really cool. Then he got together with Barb Como, who is a friend of his, and they decided to have a wood carving, chainsaw carving competition. And that was the beginning of it. And to date, I think we have a little over 350 carvings that are displayed all over town. They don't get paid for it. It is pretty amazing. I mean, it's like every business you go to, there's some incredibly spectacular piece of art sitting out the front, you know? And I don't know, did you see our itsy bitsy spider?
Because I only managed to get over to the community center because I was doing a presentation there. And so, as I say, it was dark. So all I saw was right in that little corridor. And what I saw was phenomenal. And oh my goodness, did it ever make me want to come back and bring my grandchildren when they come up, and because they were amazing.
Well,
Where is the itsy bitsy spider?
Itsy Bitsy Spider is on the wall of a building that's right beside the Tide Marks Theater, and Itsy Bitsy is 16 feet across. Yeah. And he's hanging off the wall, and they built a spider web out of cables for Itsy Bitsy to sit on. It is just amazing. It's so beautiful.
Wow. Is it black?
Well, he's wood. He's got a
He's
little
wood.
bit black on him, but yeah, he's made out of wood. So
That's incredible.
yeah, he's a chainsaw carving. Someone carved him with a chainsaw. You wouldn't believe some of the carvings that are out there. I mean, if you get a chance in front of Chance's Gaming House, they've got several of them of cougars. Those are my favorites. I believe they're Glenn Greenside stuff, and he's a professional carver, but oh my God, they are absolutely spectacular.
I can't wait to come back. So what else is in there in Campbell River that makes it such a special place to visit and live?
I think, like you had said, it's a bit of a melting pot, and I think it's also starting to really come into its own lately. Like, we have got a culture of art here that we haven't really even tapped into. They've tapped into it on Quadra Island. And, you know, Quadra, I mean, it's an artsy-fartsy community, but but for years now, they've had, like, the Quadra Island Art Tour, and you could basically go, and let me tell you, there's too many places to see in one day. You can't do it in one day. You literally have to do it over a weekend because you're exhausted by the end of the day. But it is spectacular, absolutely spectacular. And I think now Campbell River's starting to tap into that. Like, now we've only had it running for a couple of years, but the River City Arts Fest, which is turning into a 2-day major event in town.
Wow.
You know, we've got a lot of that kind of thing going on. Like, we have the Canada Day celebrations. We now have the Farmers Market, which is a mainstay for Campbell River every Sunday from May right until November. You know, there's a lot of little things like that people are starting to come into their own with it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the demographic here is changing, because our mill is no longer here, right? So we haven't got that really long-term, you know, $50,000 to $60,000 a year employment. We're attracting a different kind of people. We're attracting the technologies industries. We're attracting people that are coming here for the lifestyle instead of the job. And
Yes, and that is, we're finding that more and more, that the newer generations are doing exactly that everywhere. How fortunate it is now that we can be extending these incredibly intelligent and educated people in this world of technology that, for me, is the ether. And that they're able to combine what they do in the glorious paradise that we live in up here.
well, you know, I really notice it in the mountain biking community. I'm involved with the mountain biking here quite a bit, and I am finding that the people that we're attracting, they're young, and I say young, they're between like the 30 and 45-year-old bracket. They're doctors and psychiatrists and lawyers and all kinds of professionals that are here because they want to be here. They want to be here because they know they can go north to Snowdon in 20 minutes. They're on some of the best biking trails in the world. Or they can pop down to Comox and go into Cumberland, or they can go into Beaver Lodge with their children on their bikes, or they can be crazy mountain bikers and cruise down Menzies and put their life at stake if that's what they want to do. But where in the world can you do that? You can't do that anywhere. And you know what the truth is? You can do it on a day like today, even if it is raining. It doesn't matter.
Like in the prairies, you don't stop because it's snowing. You simply embrace it and off you go. Well,
That's
here,
right.
I
Here
think
you just get a little wet.
I think we should all have special little gadgets involved where we simply have to touch our ear and little umbrellas come up the middle of our head.
Well,
And
yeah,
off
no.
we go.
Or own some Gore-Tex, for heaven's sakes.
That's it. That's it. And just get out there anyway. So people are coming up there to live. What has that done to the real estate market in the area?
Well,
I mean,
we're
they've
not
got to have
seeing-
somewhere to live.
Yeah, it has. Well, for one thing, try and find a place to rent. Good luck with that. Because of the projects that we have running right now with BC Hydro and the hospital project, I don't know if you know this, but we're getting a new hospital, like Comox is getting a new hospital. And that's, I believe, a $300 million project. And BC Hydro is putting their penstocks underground, which is a $1.2 billion project. And then BC Hydro has just now announced that they're going to be rebuilding the John Hart and the Strathcona Dams, which is another $600 million project. So what that's done is two things. It's allowed us to put ourselves in a position where we know for the next 15 years we're going to have a steady influx of money coming into the community. That's one part of it. But in terms of the housing market, now a lot of these people that are working on these projects, they're going to be here for 5 years. They've been here for 6 months and they want to live here. And this is happening a lot. So we are seeing a little bit of an increase in our prices, even though not dramatic, but more so than that, what we're seeing is we're not getting the low months anymore in terms of sales. I even have real estate friends that are complaining that there's not enough inventory on the market for that middle of the road 3-bedroom $250,000 rancher. They're now getting multiple offers on them. So I think we can see our real estate prices going up. They are going up. They're just not going up as dramatically as I thought they would.
Not yet.
Not yet, exactly.
Have all of these projects actually started, or are they still in planning?
Oh no, they're started. The John Hart Dam and Strathcona Dam have not started yet, but they're waiting for that. There's some other things that they have to put in place, but now they've announced that they're committed to it. The money is there. It's going to happen. So they're thinking it's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 years, which doesn't matter because BC Hydro is going to be working on the project they're on right now for the next 5 years anyway.
So you're going to get yet another influx of people before you lose any.
I think that this is just going to be a steady, slow flow of people coming in. We've had 2 very good tourism years. And one of the reasons why I built Go Campbell River was for tourism. It was the primary reason. And I realized that you can't do tourism without real estate. And you can't do real estate without mortgage lenders. And you can't do mortgage lenders without house inspectors. And people come here, they enjoy it. Like, for instance, I just had a fellow contact me about advertising on my site the other day. And he's starting an adventure tour company. Him and his wife are from from Australia. They have 2 babies, and I mean really babies, which makes them pretty bold moving up here with a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old.
Wow.
And yeah, they're very excited. They came here to visit a number of years ago. And then when they decided that they were going to move somewhere, they came back and they visited again. And that's what made the decision. So they came as tourists and stayed as residents.
It's an amazing thing when the island keeps calling us home.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Campbell River has such a diversity for now. We've got job opportunities, sorry, and we've got recreational activities second to none. In the land, on the sea, on bicycles, on your feet, on boats. Can you think of a better place to live?
No, I can't. And you know what? It's very interesting to note that we just don't have the recreational activities. We have them in world-class levels. We don't have good diving. We have some of the best diving. We don't have good caving. We have 1,000 caves. Half of them haven't even been explored properly. You know, we don't have good mountain biking. We have excellent mountain biking. We don't have good fishing. We have excellent fishing. So here we sit with this myriad of different opportunities here. You could spend your entire life looking and searching and exploring and not see it all. I mean, I've been here now for 30 years, and I don't even feel like I've touched the tip of the iceberg yet.
That's marvelous. And as you say, because people are very concerned with lifestyle now, why would they? And you can be a physician, you can be a veterinarian, you can be, all of that is necessary in a growing and thriving community.
And you know what else, Rosemary? One of the things that has always stuck in my mind is what a great place this is for kids. I mean, my daughter is now in university herself, but it's a safe environment. Campbell River is safe. We don't have no crime, but we have very little. We've got all the amenities that you need for kids. We've got good schools. We've got tons of activities for them. It's just a really nice place to let your kids grow. And my girlfriend made a point the other day because they had moved a number of years ago from Vancouver. And she says, I never worried about my kids playing out on the road. And I thought, God, that's an odd thought, to be worried about allowing your children to play hockey in the streets. Yeah, like it's not even something that would cross your mind here. The kids would run down to the park, down the road. It's a good thing.
It is a good thing because in so many places you wouldn't dream of. In so many places, parents are still walking their kids to school in high school. Not quite, but combined with the helicopter parents and the changes in the way we are raising people, what a wonderful opportunity to let them learn and grow and take consequences and whatnot with a degree of freedom that you can't get in so many other places.
Yeah, and safety, and there's a lot to participate in. There's always something going on here for kids. There's always some activity that the city's putting on or that businesses are putting on, learning activities. We have an excellent museum that puts on all kinds of things for kids, including the Lego displays, which I think are really cool. So I get to go be a kid too sometimes.
And don't we love that? And isn't
yeah.
that what recreation is about? Is about discovering our limits and getting out to play.
Well, that's another thing. And we've just got the approval to get the kids' skill park done for mountain biking. And this is a very ambitious project. It's going to be at the Sportsplex. And a couple of friends of mine actually spearheaded the idea. And I am absolutely amazed at how far forward this is going. And a couple of years ago, I started taking pictures of the Sprock kids. They're the ones, they run basically, I guess you'd call them learning expos for kids on mountain bikes.
Wow.
And not only did the program sell out like right now, but to watch these kids learning how to ride a bike properly on trails was just so genuine. From the youngest one I saw was like 3, and he didn't even have pedals. He just had to walk his bike because he couldn't pedal. It was just, the wheels were too small. Right up to the 13-year-old competitive boys, and you should hear the conversations they're having on their bikes.
Whole different skill set to be able to ride trails than ride on asphalt.
Well, this skills park is going to be a huge asset to the infrastructure of this community.
And, as a certified teacher, I am adamant that we learn in combination with a great many things, but to absolutely get the learning to be intrinsically part of us, we must learn by doing.
Yeah, and loving what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
These skills are keeping the kids away from a monitor. It's getting them out there, getting some exercise that is actually physically good for their brains and good for their bodies. Plus, they have a lot of fun. They meet kids, they socialize, and they grow. And that's the neat thing, is that they're actually growing. Like their self-confidence is growing, their ability to do something. Because in mountain biking, the only one you're really, well, I guess you can be competitive, but when you're learning like that, you're competing with yourself.
That's right.
I just, listening to the 12-year-old and 11-year-old girls going through the trails as I was taking pictures and video of them, I'm listening to them and they're talking about how they looked while they were doing something. Whereas the boys were talking about how well they did compared to somebody else. I thought, this is just hilarious. What a good day I had.
That must have been extraordinary. So you take pictures for the website?
Yeah, I took those pictures specifically for the Sprock Kids program, just as a volunteer to help them out, right? Because my friends are running the program, and they put in so many hours, and I tend to take pretty good pictures, so they really appreciate that having me done. This weekend, I'm actually taking pictures for the Repair Cafe that's happening at the community hall, which I'm also really passionate about. I want to get stuff out of our landfill.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Well,
The Repair Cafe.
Yeah, it's a program that is actually now worldwide. I believe it started in Sweden. And the idea behind it is we have, I believe, 9 people now that are coming in, and you can walk into the room and get anything that you've got repaired. Like, for instance, did you know that when your printer dies, it isn't broken? There's usually a little chip in the printer that just needs to be polished up and placed back in. It doesn't have to go into the landfill. So what these guys do is they take all their stuff. Like, I've got a couple of flashlights that I cannot get working. And I've also got one of these little handheld vacuum cleaners for my car.
Yes.
And it's just it's not sucking the way it used to. So I'm bringing them in, and the guys will take them apart. And if they can be repaired, they will be repaired. So I love the idea. Every piece of stuff that comes in there is not going into a landfill. It's not getting thrown away. And the last time we did this, I saw all kinds of things being repaired, from lamps to amplifiers to old turntables. I mean, there was a blender there. There was coffee machines. There was all kinds of things. And you can't send these things back to the manufacturers because they're just going to throw them away anyway.
That's
and
right.
They don't make parts for them. But these guys, they know how to adjust parts and work parts. And was an electronics guy there. There was a guy that repaired bicycles. There was the sewing machine place here in town. They were fixing clothing and they were fixing sewing machines. Oh, it was just great. And we had a really good time.
So how often is this Repair Cafe going on there?
Well, we did the pilot project last September, and that was the first time. So this is going to be the second time that we've done it. And I think that they are hoping to be able to do it every couple of months. I mean, the guys that are in there doing the work, they can only do so much work at a cafe.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you know what? In some communities, particularly in Europe, they have hundreds of people in these cafes working on stuff. It's really cool.
And do they do it from the goodness of their heart, or do they get paid by the customers? How does this? How are they compensated for their miracle working?
Let me tell you, sometimes it is miracle working too.
Yeah.
When I saw Corey from ISCO fix a little iPad thing, I didn't think that was going to be fixed. There was no way. But
No.
For the Repair Cafe itself, it's all done by volunteers. However, some of the people that are participating do have businesses. So it's kind of their way of giving back to the community. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, one fellow there that works on bikes. He only works on older bikes. He doesn't work on new bikes. So if you have a bike that he can't touch because it's of the newest technology, he doesn't want to take business away from the bike shops. And if that's a $2,000 bike, then, he doesn't want to look at it. Go pay someone to fix it, right?
Right.
Or he can give you some direction on how to do that. But he loves working on antique bikes, and that is his business to do that. And when I say antiques, anything over 5 years old is an antique when you're talking about a bike.
Like a computer.
Yeah. That's right, exactly.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. So we've talked about Campbell River and the demographic that it supports. We've talked a little bit about the changing demographic and the world of work versus the world of play. We've talked a little bit about what this is doing to the real estate. Are you finding that there are more businesses cropping up, or are you finding existing businesses simply being busier because of this new influx of people?
I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely see the new businesses crop up because that is my business to know that. I see a lot of what we could classify as old guard handing their businesses down to younger people. That's happening an awful lot right now, which is really kind of exciting in a lot of ways because it pumps new energy into the businesses.
It does.
And we can't do business the way that we used to. I mean, because I'm in the tech industry, I find that you have to be so on top of everything all the time. It's a different way of running your business. Like, we were talking about business planning the other day. And in this industry, you don't make a really detailed plan. What you make is a strategic plan to say, I want to get here, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to do these actions to get there, and these actions are going to change next week. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that, right? So it's very fluid. It's a lot more fluid. But yeah, it's definitely, I see the new energy there. Like, for instance, we're getting a new brew pub. Yay! Finally, Campbell River's getting a brew pub.
Oh,
Now,
that's great.
isn't that great? Now, a couple of
Yes.
years ago, it would have taken years and years and years to get something like that pushed through, whereas now people are recognizing that these brew pubs are everywhere and we don't have one. So let's fast track these guys and get it up and running. So this is really kind of exciting for us.
Vancouver Island is a very interesting place in that we accept new ideas and we push forward, but there is in some communities the old guard who are staunchly refusing to budge. It is so good to hear that Campbell River, in its rapid growth phase now, is finding a way to coexist with those two completely different mindsets. That's not an easy thing to do.
No, but you know what? The old guard has something to offer. I mean, I have a couple of people that are mentors of mine that have been in business forever, and my goodness gracious, I could not be where I am without them, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a certain element of I've been there, done that is absolutely invaluable. It saves me very costly and time-consuming mistakes is what it does.
Yes. And it's so glad, it's so nice to see that in a booming environment like Campbell River, that the two are coexisting well, because that's not always the case. This is just another testament to what makes Campbell River such an extraordinary place.
Well, you know, it's kind of again right back to the tech sector, because I am definitely influenced by that. You take a look at what's going on in Victoria. I mean, tech in Victoria now is a $4 billion industry. Like, think about that. Victoria is not that big.
No, it's not.
And now they're talking about the fact that the tech industry is actually reshaping downtown Victoria, because these guys that are very successful, very financially successful with these businesses, are now buying up space. They're leasing space. They're creating restaurants that are trendy, that appeal to the tech sector. So this particular sector in itself has such an incredibly powerful and massive influence on everything around it that it really does change the face of your community. And this is a positive thing. So Campbell River is undergoing that change also. It's just doing it a little bit slower because we haven't been on that wagon for a while. We've just been on the wagon for a very short time. But we're definitely attracting the talent. There is no question about that.
That's incredible. Therein, in my opinion, is the basis for thriving communities, is to be able to continue to move forward and accept the changing landscape of the world we live in.
Yeah, well, we're very fortunate here. We now have a new CAO for our municipal.
Yes.
And we have a new council, which seems to be a fairly forward-thinking council. I mean, government always moves a lot slower than we want it to, but at least we're moving. And at least we're moving in the right direction, right? So I'm hoping to see some really good things out of our council in the next little while.
So what do you see as the future for Campbell River? Tech industry. Do you see the recreational portion of it growing, staying the same? Do you see, clearly you're bringing tech into but what else can you see happening in Campbell River?
I see us becoming a central location. Tech is part of it, but it's not everything. We still have a large and stable resource base here. And some of it's pretty darn sustainable. So let's keep that. I like to see the diversity. The diversity is what gives this area its stability. And as long as we don't focus too much on one thing or get caught up in going in one direction as opposed to exploring all directions, I think that we'll be just fine. We definitely attract a certain kind of person. If you're a city dweller, you like the metropolitan areas, and you want to go to a different movie every night, this isn't going to be the community for you, because we only have one movie theater. But if you're into a back alley movie theater and perhaps an arts fest the next day, and then mountain biking or skiing or golfing, my God, we've got the best golfing on the island too. If you're that kind of person, then that's what Campbell River has got to offer. And I see a lot of these people that are coming here, they're actually creating the industries themselves, or they're building on the industries themselves. So the more talent you attract, the more growth you're going to see.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. So how would you like to see because you are coming at it from a tech point of view, we understand that that's sort of your bent. In what area do you think the community is the best way for Campbell River to grow? I know that we need to grow in all of them, but is there one that you see that is going to do more foundational good for the community than any other?
I'm a real proponent of the tourism industry for one real basic reason, and that is tourism promotes sustainability. It is not a draw on the resource, it's an add to the resource, plus it's also educational. I mean, I used to have, my adventure tour company was snorkeling the salmon on the Campbell River, snorkeling with the salmon. And
goodness.
Yeah, well, that's another thing you can't do anywhere else. And let me tell you, it is a profound experience to do that. I don't think we'd ever had anybody come out of that water saying, well, that was normal. It's a pretty amazing thing to do. And if you come up here in August or September, I'll take you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go into this for just a minute. So, your own adventure company, and you took people. You've got to be kidding me! Snorkeling with salmon.
Yeah.
Okay. Now remember, please, that 3 years ago I was living in landlocked Alberta, and up to my epaulets in snow, and fishing involved jackfish and some trout, and if we caught a pickerel, we were in heaven. Salmon was that wasn't a daily thing like it is here on the island. So please tell me about snorkeling with salmon.
Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown here. What we would do first is we'd load up our bus, and everybody always asked why we had drains on the bus. And we would always say, wait till you get back in the bus when you get out of the water, because you're going to drain. But we would put people in wetsuits, 7mm neoprene wetsuits. We would have 4 people to a guide. You'd get an informational session on your way and at the river as to what you're going to see, because at different times of the year, the salmon runs actually change. We do have 5 species that come back to the Campbell River to spawn. So from mid-June, that would be a little early, or I should say mid-July, right up to November, you're going to have different species in the river. So Campbell River is famous for the size of its salmon and for the proliferation of the runs, because we had, was it 2 years ago, they said we had 1.2 million pinks go up the river. And if you can imagine what that's like floating over a school of, say, 50 or 60,000 salmon, it's pretty amazing. Now, pink salmon are quite small, but in comparison to the Chinook, who can get up to 75, 80 pounds,
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so what we would do is we would put you in the water with a guide. The guide would have a boogie board, and they would be responsible for 4 people. And we would float a section of river that is about 2.5 kilometers long. And that, the water's moving. You're in a river. So you'd basically get used to your equipment, and then the idea behind the float is just to relax. Because the more you relax, the more you're going to see, the more comfortable you're going to be, and the easier that your breathing's going to be. And you can see anywhere from, depending on the time of year, and up to, say, 500,000 fish, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, well, we hit the big time with that one. We hit the international media in a huge way because it was such an incredibly spectacular program. But there's one thing about doing it that just you get out of the water and you feel different. You've almost connected with the earth, and people, I didn't realize just how little people knew about salmon because, we've grown up with salmon here. Salmon are everywhere. They're the backbone to everything. We have whales, we have eagles, we have bears because we have salmon. And we have lots of those too. It's not even all that uncommon to be snorkeling the river and lift your head up and see a bear feeding with her cubs on the side of the river.
This would frighten me.
No, are you kidding? It's amazing. You're in the water. You're in the middle of the river. Eh? She's not jumping in there. She's got a fish in her mouth. She's not looking at you. She cares about her food.
Okay. This sounds incredible.
It's pretty incredible, let me tell you.
So how long are you in the water?
Depending on how the river flow is, the faster the flow, the more water that's in the river, the faster you're going to go. But one run would be anywhere from, say, about 35 to 50 minutes, depending again on the tide, because the lower half of the river is affected by tide. And we would always do the run twice. Because the first time around, you're getting used to your equipment, and you may not be as relaxed as you are the second time. People always saw a lot more the second time around. And that company I sold the company a number of years ago, and the company that was doing it is no longer doing it, but Destiny River Adventures is doing it now. And they're doing it a little bit differently, but you still get the opportunity to be in the water with the salmon, so it's still pretty incredible.
That sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And you see, the people don't know.
No, well, Rick Mercer came up and did it.
Well, I'm sure that you have had some pretty interesting people.
Yeah, we have.
On that adventure.
Yeah, we really did. We had quite a few famous people, and I actually was supposed to have Stevie Nicks on my tour on September 11th, 2001. She was supposed to be on the 13th, I think it was, but she couldn't fly. I was not happy about that. I wanted to meet her.
Especially in a wetsuit with fish all around her.
Yeah, and she's older than me.
I love it when I meet people that are older than me.
Too.
So you sold your adventure company, and you traded that for something else to spend your energy on.
Yeah, I realized that I didn't want to do the seasonal thing because it's so hard and fast for such a short period of time. Then you're not getting that steady, even flow all year. And I was very much into promoting the community anyway. And I thought, God, what can we do to do this? And then I kind of took a look at the internet and went, oh, this is it. Because I've always been involved in marketing. My entire career has been touched on marketing in one way or another, or full out, because I also did corporate sales for Oak Bay Marine Group for about 9 years. So I had a pretty good idea of what was helping us sell the community. And so I decided I was going to design this website. And now we find that we're a pretty unique commodity out there, because so many communities have got websites that take little snippets of the community and put it under one room. Whereas with Go Campbell River, we have everything. So you don't need to go anywhere else.
It's amazing. It's absolutely spectacular. If listeners have not gone to Go Campbell River, please do yourself a favor and check it out. It is incredible. And Catherine, you are the mover and shaker on this one.
Yeah, I'm the troubled child. I keep hearing that.
You're the problem child?
Oh,
Catherine,
yeah.
Say it's not so.
Oh, I'm okay with it. My girlfriend said to me the other day, "You're an out-of-the-box thinker, Kath." And I said, "What box?"
There is no box.
Do
or do not.
I'm always the one that says, let's go up this mountain. Let's see what's around that corner.
So I want to ask you, what do you do? I mean, you've come off this adventure company, and you certainly are not a shrinking violet of any sort. So what do you do for your own personal recreation in that incredible area?
Everything. Yeah, I mean, I have a bucket list. My bucket list this year is to do the Sayward Forest canoe route, which I haven't done. Now, see,
The
now
what
there's
canoe?
another one. The
Hold
Sayward,
it. What say word? What?
the Sayward Forest canoe route.
I think you need to tell us about that.
Yeah, that is just north of Campbell River. It encompasses 11 different lakes. It's got a couple of portages. The biggest one is a little over a kilometer long, but it takes 5 days to canoe it. I've canoed some of the pieces of it. As a matter of fact, I canoed quite a few of the pieces. I've never done the whole route, but there's camping spots all along the way. And it's a hidden secret. Like, nobody knows about this place. You very rarely see people out there, and yet it's pretty darn spectacular, and it's very zen, right? I mean, paddling a canoe is very zen, and my dog loves my canoe, so we're going to go do that this summer. I've done the Village Bay Lakes route, which is on Quadra Island, and I did that with a group of 18 teenagers. Man, did we ever have fun.
That must have been spectacular.
Yeah, it really was. The kids were great, and it rained for 3 out of the 4 days that we were there, and I never heard one complaint out of one of the kids. Not one. The adults complained, but the kids didn't. But that's one of my bucket list. I want to find the Artlish Caves, which are up in Zabellis area. Mm-hmm. And I've been in the Artlish Caves before, but they've deactivated the roads. So the last time I tried to get in, we couldn't get in, and now it's an expedition to get in there. So we've already determined that we have to bring static ropes and actually rappel down into this canyon and then climb up the other side, which it looks like we can climb up the other side fairly easily, but we weren't going to get past that canyon without rappelling down, which is okay. I mean, that can happen. So that's another one. I know you asked me.
And I'm listening. So would you think that it was reasonable to assume that the general state of people's health in Campbell River might be a step up the ladder from other places?
I think so. I really do, but it still astonishes me when I bump into someone that has never been into Strathcona Park. I mean, here we have this 250,000 hectares of wilderness, which some of the most amazing hiking trails to the most amazing vistas you'll ever see. I mean, this is like having the Alps in our backyard, and some people haven't been there. So I think that, again, that is also changing, because the people that have been here for years and years and years that had pulp mill jobs and, spent 30 years in a pulp mill job are not necessarily as apt to go out into the wilderness unless it's something like ATVing or fishing. And a lot of people do that. I mean, you'll find more boats here than there will air conditioners, that's for sure. But we were doing that analogy last year because we were complaining about how hot it got this summer. And nobody had an air conditioner. I do, because I have a heat pump. Yay!
Yeah. Oh, I love them. I love them.
Yeah, well, I certainly love my heat pump, that's for sure. But when it comes down to the recreational aspects, they do keep you fit, and with the result that you walk around town and you do see the fitness level of the people that are here is higher. So it's a wonderful thing to see. I mean, it also affects the way you think and the way that you do things and how you move forward. It's just a really positive thing. I'm really looking forward to getting addicted to endorphins again.
Oh, yeah. So tell me, geographically speaking wise, do you know the latitude of Campbell River?
Oh, we were talking about that the other day, because we have another new company coming into town, and their name is going to be Parallel 50 Parallel Adventures. Okay. Yeah, so they say that the line for the 49th parallel ends just below us, but we are on the 50th parallel. Yeah.
Well, I live in Ladysmith, and we're on the 49th.
Aha! See, we're just one parallel above you.
And so you are still very substantially, even though it's on the north end of the island, and all of a sudden, as soon as you hear north, people tend to think of northern Canada, right? Vancouver Island is in Canada. You start talking about northern Vancouver Island, and we start getting visions of snow and all the like of that, but it's not at all.
Yeah, unless you go into the backcountry, there's lots of snow back there right now. which is perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect. The snowmobilers are having a great year this year.
Well, and that's the point about Campbell River, isn't it? Is that you've got everything so close. You can go scuba diving as far away as you can go snowmobiling, as far away as you can go up these incredible mountain biking trails. I mean, everything is so close.
And it seems that something like what you said just now about snow, you want to go skiing, Mount Washington's 45 minutes away from here, or Mount Kane is an hour and a half north of here. So you've got two options right out of Campbell River. But if you want to go snowmobiling in the backcountry, you can. If you want to go snowshoeing or backcountry skiing, we've got Strathcona Park that's less than an hour away towards Gold River. I mean, those options are there. But if you want to do something that doesn't require snow, you can either do it closer to town, closer to the ocean, or hit up one of the islands here, because we have hundreds of islands out in front of us. I mean, I used to have a sailboat, and we would sail around here and just explore. And boy, I would tell you, I'm going to get another sailboat because I love that. We called it our camper on water because it would just be always ready to go. And anytime that we had a couple of days off or whatever, we'd jump into the boat and take off.
The river that you were talking about, doing the salmon, swimming with the fishes, which is an entirely different concept than you would hear it in New York or Chicago. Have you heard that saying? Going to make you swim with the fishes.
Oh,
that
yeah,
wasn't a good thing.
Cement feet.
We're talking about old-fashioned mafia in Chicago. Yeah. So, but what was the actual name of the river?
Oh, it's Campbell River, the Campbell River.
And where does Campbell River, I mean, how wide across is it? Does it vary? Is it deep? Tell me about the river itself.
Well, the Campbell River is a BC Heritage River, and that's because it is vitally important for the ecology of this area. It's also, in the past, been used for very heavy industrial work. Like back in the day when they were logging and sending out raw logs from the estuary of the Campbell River, it was a toxic waste dump.
Yes.
Yeah, but now they've done a tremendous amount of work, and this is something that we really strongly support was the Pacific Salmon Foundation and the Campbell River Salmon Foundation. They have literally pumped millions and millions of dollars into reclaiming the industrial land at the mouth of the Campbell River. And what it's done for that area is they have reclaimed it all, and then they put back the riparian zones that were traditionally there. So we're now starting to see the fruits of that labor, which is showing in our salmon run returns because it is making a difference. And we're talking, what they're trying to do is promote the natural salmon runs, right?
Yes.
But the Campbell River itself it's not very deep. Well, this is the neat thing about it being snorkeled. In some areas, if it's 12 feet deep in some spots, that would be some of the deeper areas. But generally speaking, you're talking about a river that's 3 or 4 feet deep. There are some class 5 water runs on the Campbell, but they're more on the top end. So the bottom end doesn't run as fast.
Sure.
Like right now, the water flow is amazing. Like you just look, you think to yourself, my God, they're going to wash out the bridge.
Yes.
We've a couple of bridges and the water flow doesn't look like it's very far below the bridge. But I understand the reasoning behind them doing that. It has to be done. Our reservoirs are getting a little full. But in terms of the Campbell itself, it never gets down to nothing because it is regulated by the John Hart Dam. Although there are agreements in place between the salmon community and BC Hydro to make sure that the salmon stocks are looked after. So they can only
important.
So much. It is vitally important to this community on so many different levels.
So we have got a community then of environmentally aware, astute, and caring individuals who are now turning into and well-educated, healthy, family-minded, active people.
Yeah. Well, Rosemary, one of the things that really shocked me when I was designing the website is that we couldn't find the nonprofit organizations anywhere. And I thought, we really should have those on our site. So we started doing the research. And what really shocked me is how many of them are out there. We have over 100 nonprofit organizations in Campbell River, and every single one of them is doing a job that benefits the community. And I find that really fascinating, because if you take something like Rotary, say for instance, and you've got a board of directors and there's 10 people on the board, just to say, I don't know how many there is, but just to say there's 10 members, well, that 10 members is supporting 150 members. So each one of these community organizations has a board of directors and a support network behind those boards of directors. And when you think about that kind of power and what positive influence that has on your community, that's pretty neat. That alone it's warming to know that you're moving into a community that cares that much about the individuals,
And that's what makes our communities so special.
And very strong. It makes it very strong because that network is tight, right? It's not a huge community.
But everybody cares about what's going on around you. I'm sure that you've got a ton of people that are completely devoted to keeping Campbell River clean. Well, I'm sure you have another group of people that is equally devoted to making sure that the bike trails are maintained.
Exactly.
And another group of people who is absolutely adamant about keeping the sustainability of the business core.
Exactly. And you know what? They overlap. Like certain people are on this board and then some people are sharing this board and whatnot. So they communicate with each other. I guess we're small enough that we can do that, but not so small that it's incestuous, That way the communication structures between the different groups is open also. So I find that really quite interesting.
And the other thing is that creates a sense of trust and reliance on each other.
And a sense of community.
I trust that you are taking care of your portion of it, so I can put my efforts over here to make sure we're a well-rounded, sustainable, and growing, energetic community.
Exactly.
It sounds to me like it's the kind of community that if someone saw an unfortunate accident, everybody would be there to help.
Oh, you bet. And that does happen all the time.
Well, I'm sure if you're so adventurous, there's going to be accidents.
Oh, I'm touching wood right now.
Knock on something.
Don't want any accidents when we're out there. I've been very fortunate. I actually have been in a few different situations where people have gotten hurt, but none of them have been life-threatening so far.
And when you're doing these kinds of activities, I am so glad to hear that you're getting a new hospital.
Yeah.
Because when people are active, things happen. But you have to take smart risks. And you have to have someone to pick up the pieces
yeah.
when
we
fall off.
desperately need a new hospital. Our hospital is old. It's inefficient. It's dated. They can't do half the things that they want to do there. And we need more room. We just need more beds is what it boils down to.
Well, because the community has grown since the hospital was put in there.
Yeah. And the neat thing about our hospital, it's going to be a teaching hospital. So we'll have the latest in technologies, which is an attractive thing in itself.
So Campbell River is a wonderful combination of old and new, of tried and true and young and untested, of energetic people striving to make a difference for their community in a place that is pristine and clean and natural. What more could you want?
I don't think there is any more to want, is there?
I don't think so. I think that's phenomenal. So, Catherine, thank you so much for being on my guest today. Do you want to leave us with a final saying or last words of any sorts? I sound like I'm putting you to death here.
No, yeah, put me in the grave. Thanks a lot, Rosemarie.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm just a really strong proponent of Campbell River, and check out the website and take a look and see if it's a fit for you. I mean, this is the place to live as far as I'm concerned.
Catherine, thank you for being my guest today. And thanks to our producer, Nesha. You can listen to the show on Bold Radio Station's Facebook page, on Spreaker, on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. Bold Radio Station can be heard from virtually everywhere, every platform that comes into it. Next week, tune in at the same time next Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and we are going to be welcoming yet another fabulous guest to the show as we continue to explore Vancouver Island, views from her, and all about her. Take care, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you for listening to Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island, with host Rosemarie Barnes. To book Rosemarie as a speaker or speaking coach, or to offer suggestions of extraordinary guests for the show, please visit her website at www.confidentstages.com.